Hey everybody, this is the third installment of the Curran Zone, and this is being recorded in January. And we have, of course, Mr. Curran with us and Allie Johnson. Hey everyone, how are we doing?
Great, thank you.
All right. So we're gonna start off with your break, Mr. Curran. You went to Boston for Christmas. You do that every year, or?
I try to go home for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the 4th of July. 4th of July is big in Boston. Some years we attend a concert. It was the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and the play on this area called the Esplanade, and it's overlooking the Charles River, and it's beautiful, but it's crowded, and you need to arrive very early.
Mm. So. In New Orleans we have fireworks shows, or sometimes you have people who, because in some parts of Louisiana it's actually illegal to buy fireworks, because people are getting hurt. But I would like to go to a big fireworks show where it's like serious. I know when I have neighbors who set off fireworks, no matter the time of the year, if the Saints or the Tigers score a touchdown, and it's 8 o'clock, and then a firework goes off, and it's like, what was that? It's like, oh, the Saints probably scored. So, what about Christmas? Christmas in Boston.
Well, I usually like to go into Harvard Square and browse the Harvard Coop bookstore, and then I also like to visit the Museum of Fine Arts. And this year they actually had a Jackson Pollock exhibit, and it was a painting called Mural. It was his breakthrough painting. That's when he first started, what we've come to recognize as the Jackson Pollock style. So this painting was intended to be a mural, it was supposed to be an installation that he I think the agreement they had was he was going to Peggy Guggenheim's apartment and paint it on the wall. Mm-hmm. But he was running, I don't know what happened, but he decided to just do it on canvas and then roll it out. So it's an important work, and like I said, it's considered his breakthrough moment, and that's what really developed his style, the Jackson Pollock style. So I brought my mother to that exhibit. I thought she would enjoy it, and she did. And she was approaching all these other people, asking them to explain the painting to her. So we were there. We were in front of that painting for about an hour.
Wow.
And when we left, she said she really understood the painting.
Well, I mean, that's what she was asking to,
yeah, so she enjoyed it.
You said your cousins come over, or sometimes they come over, and that's first generation coming over to the States. You said they didn't come this year?
No, it was just I guess I would be lumped in with the older people now. So I'm not one of the kids. I'm one of the adults. So it was just the adults, mm-hmm. which was nice.
Well, that's good. What makes you feel homesick for Boston?
What makes me feel homesick?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
So it's just you just go there for your family.
Yes, I go. Well, during the summer, we go to Cape Cod, mm-hmm. and I really enjoy going to Cape Cod. That's wonderful. It's relaxing. But other than that,
you don't miss it.
No, I don't miss. I don't miss the fast pace. I don't miss the people.
Yeah. Well, I hope
it's a hostile environment.
No one from Boston is listening to this. Have you been to Cape Cod?
I haven't. I'm actually planning on going to Boston, maybe in February. Is that a good time to go?
Oh, it's cold.
It's cold?
Yes.
But I mean, will I still be able to go and explore as much as I could, in the summer?
Well, we're mentioning Cape Cod. You probably wouldn't get the full experience if you were to visit during the winter. It's been described as depressing during the winter because you're along the coast, and a lot of businesses are shut down. So
Like gray.
so it's like depending on where you go. I mean, there's some parts of Cape Cod where people live year round, but not very many. So you probably would not get the full Cape Cod experience. But there are other areas you could visit. The western part of Massachusetts is beautiful. The Berkshires, but again, fall is when people visit the Berkshires because we have the autumn, the changing of the leaves, which we don't see here.
Yeah.
What's your favorite season there?
The summer.
Do you swim at Cape Cod?
Yes. And I'm a big fan of Jaws too, so I don't know if you guys are. I could quote any line from Jaws.
How many times have you watched it?
I've probably seen that movie 40 to 50 times.
Oh my gosh. I haven't seen it. I've seen like the trailer for it, and then I saw the first scene, and I was like, where the girl gets, first victim of Jaws, and then I was the crabs over her, and then it's like, it was like a movie that you like kind of have to watch because if you want to appreciate cinema, that's like the suspense, how it's the plot, the characters, and all that.
Spielberg did it. He really adapted. So we have this idea now of music, sort of like hinting at something like that's going
themes.
to happen.
Yeah,
and that really came across. Really came about out of necessity because Steven Spielberg was having problems with the shark.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't include the shark as often as they wanted. So Steven Spielberg reached out to John Williams, who was a conductor of the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and had him come up with the music, sort of create that tension.
Right, like hearing.
And now it's a device that we see in films.
It's like hearing something that's not there, but music plays into our emotions.
Yeah.
It's powerful. So, and you're saying Jaws? I didn't know Jaws kind of like. When was it made?
It was filmed in the 70s, probably the mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But you asked me if I ever miss Massachusetts. Yeah. When I see Jaws and I see those, it was filmed in Edgartown, Massachusetts. So when I see those scenes in Edgartown, then I miss Massachusetts. That's it.
So you've gone there and you've seen where it was filmed?
Oh yes, and the town has not changed much at all. It's a beautiful, quaint little town with like little white picket fences.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful town.
What about the cuisine?
I don't like seafood, so I don't.
Like that area, like Rhode Island, that area, like clam, chowder, stuff like that. You're not big
clams, lobster, mussels.
Mm-hmm. You're meaning to tell me you went from Boston, a seafood port, to New Orleans, a seafood port?
Do you like crawfish?
No, I don't like seafood. I had a horrible experience when I was younger. So this is a story. My father took me deep sea fishing when I was very young, too young, and I got seasick, and we were way, way out, and I wasn't even old enough to recognize that I was getting seasick. And my father had no sympathy for me at all. Well, there was really nothing he could do. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing.
No
he could do.
Pepto-Bismol?
Yeah. So, when we came back, I was ill, very, very ill, and I just wanted to climb into bed and go to sleep. So, my father got me out of bed, and he said, "You need to clean the fish before you go to bed." And I could hear my mother pleading with him just to leave me be, just to let me. And he said no.
So, wait, what kind of fish were you
Bass. Mm-hmm. Sea bass.
Okay.
Why bass?
That's just what we were going for at the time.
Yeah.
It was probably the easiest fish. There were like bigger game fish, like bluefish, but that required more skill. This is basically just bait the hook, drop it in.
How many miles? You said deep sea.
Yeah, deep sea. So we probably went out 10 miles, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Which on the Atlantic, that's rough.
It's all blue, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I love the ocean. I'm a Pisces, you know that.
Curran.
I have a limited fishing experience. My dad's taken me fishing, creeks, streams, but and I've never caught much, in that. But he took me to the lake once, and he hired a guide too, because there's a certain way you have to fish in Lake Pontchartrain, and all the fish are around the suspension parts for the bridge.
Okay, yeah.
Because I guess barnacles, algae stick to that.
Yeah.
So, and we were out there. So how many fish did you catch?
Oh, I don't know. Probably about 10. Probably about 10 fish.
Yeah. So you're not big on seafood, shellfish. What about regular fish, cod?
I have a very limited palate.
What do you?
Very limited.
What do you eat?
Brussels sprouts.
Boiled cabbage.
Chicken.
Potatoes.
Chicken, potato. Yeah.
Deer.
Just pretty. No.
No gamey meats.
No.
Quail.
No.
Turtle.
No. No.
Oh, Mr.
And I
Curran.
won't.
No, you will.
Yeah, I think eating turtles is kind of immoral.
I've had turtle soup. I had turtle soup.
Right.
I didn't know I was eating turtle
Me
soup.
neither.
I ate alligator. I didn't know I was eating.
How did you feel about the turtle soup?
It bothered me when I found out that
definitely. It's weird thinking you're eating the part of the turtle you usually don't see because of the shell.
I was listening to this radio show. This guy saves up money with his wife and goes to a Chinese restaurant or a supermarket and buys turtles to go set them free in a canal because they feel that bad for turtles. And I don't know. I see a turtle sunbathing. I don't know. I feel bad when I look at any animal that I end up eating. The turtles are weird.
I actually asked my father about that. It seems like we're in a kick about our parents, but over the break, I was talking to my father about growing up in a farm, and I asked him if he ever had any issues with killing a chicken, killing a goat, and he said no. He said there was no emotional attachment,
and you really
he never had an issue with it. He never had.
That's what you're eating. You don't. It's you don't kill that chicken. You're not eating chicken tonight. So I can kind of understand that. So your father grew up on a farm? Yeah,
both my parents grew up on farms. Not that far away. Probably. Well, for them it was a great distance, but 20 miles, probably about 20 miles away from each other. And they met in America. But they met in America.
Man. So it was just a coincidence.
Not really, because people from Ireland seem to gravitate towards people from the same region.
Well, yeah, people don't think about that, but a country different countries have, a person from Dublin, might view someone from Cork. I'm not sure. I don't know exacts, but if we met someone from New Orleans in Denver, we might act differently if they were from New York, because perceptual regions and stuff like that. So what's familiar is comforting. We look for that's this is kind of Freudian, but we're attracted to what our parents presented to. You might be attracted to a woman who in some ways resemble your mother because it's familiar and you're comforted by that. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm no professional. I'm just saying what comes in my head.
What do you think, Mr. Curran?
Well, I know it's true. It's true of my relatives. I was surprised.
I guess a better way of saying it is, how did you find these people? How did you find relatives? Did they come to you, or did you somehow know that they were?
Oh, my parents. Whenever I visit Ireland, I always go with my parents. I wouldn't really be able to visit like some of these villages. I would have no idea how to locate. They are so far removed. They are so far removed from like Dublin or Galway. So just finding your way around is very difficult. Plus, I can't drive. I cannot drive on the opposite side of the road. The roads are very narrow. There are no street lights, and you really need to know where you're going. Mm. And then all the signs are in Gaelic too when I don't speak Gaelic.
Yeah, that's kind of a big part, you know.
You need a license, though, right? Do you need an Ireland license?
No, you can drive. It costs a lot more. You know, insurance is a lot more expensive. But yes, you can drive in Ireland with an American license. But I would not recommend it. I would not recommend it. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You grew up, so I guess we're talking about Boston a lot, but that's fine. But snow, it's cold, a lot colder there than it is here. It snows a lot, like every year. And it doesn't do that here, like once every 8 years or so. It might, we might get an inch of snow. Do you skiing, snowboarding, ice skating? Do you have experience with that? Have you dabbled in that?
Yes, we grew up skating. Mm-hmm. We grew up skiing.
Has there been any, you fell and broke a bone?
No. I mean, I've fallen through the ice. As teenagers, it would happen. It would happen. We'd fall through the ice. But no major accidents.
Tell me you fall through in a pond that's iced over and you've fallen through, and it's kind of it happens there. Because we've grown up with shock films where people will fall through the ice and almost die, and the animated whatever is pointing at you so remember, never go on a half frozen lake. Yeah. And you're telling me it's
when you're a kid and you want to skate, you're going to skate. You're going to skate. There were rules. There was one in the town I grew up in. There was one pond that we could officially skate on, and it was this big process a member of the fire department would have to come out, and they would have this big drill, and they would drill down. They would go to the center of the pond and drill down, and they would measure, and it had to be, I don't know, maybe 2 feet thick before you could officially skate on it. So that never happened. So we just found other ponds to skate on. And of course, you would just convince yourself that it was okay. Yeah. You'd send one guy out.
Were you ever the one guy?
No, very rarely would I be the guy
that went out there. He's a smart guy. Come on.
So
I was always the thinnest, so there was no point in sending me out. Sometimes we were cruel. Sometimes we would take something like a guy's hat and throw it out there, and he'd have to go retrieve his hat. And if he didn't fall through, then it was safe to skate.
Were you because everyone has a friend group. Were you ever are you a natural born leader, Mr. Curran?
No, not at all. I wouldn't say. Not a follower, no.
He thinks for himself. Give him some credit.
So what would you be in the hierarchy?
I don't know.
It's a good answer. Good answer. The type of people you would group your friends as? Were they the nerds?
Outsiders for the most part. Really outsiders. I was certainly an outsider in high school because I went to an inner city school, but I lived in the suburbs. I grew up when I was younger.
Yeah.
Well, that was just me having a tangent about the MSY airport, but we're back online. As you could tell probably from the rest of that episode, we've been having a slight technical difficulties with the mic, so hopefully it hasn't upsetted you guys' experience with the podcast. But beforehand, we were talking about Mr. Curran's school life relationships and how he felt himself as an outcast and others.
Not an outcast.
No,
Excuse me. An outsider. People will perceive you as an outsider at school.
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so. So, as I mentioned, I don't know if it was in the earlier clip, but I went to an inner city school, and I lived in the suburbs. So, I was one of the few students from the same. I was one of the few students that lived in the town that I grew up in. It was, I think, maybe three. There were like three of us.
Did y'all stick together, or did y'all just float?
We had similar interests. We had the same really brutal commute. We had the same brutal commute back and forth to school every day. We had to take 2 buses and a train.
Oh my God! When did you guys get out of school?
I don't remember what time we got out of school.
How long did it take? Like 4
It all
hours?
depended. We were involved with like sports.
Mm-hmm.
The school really emphasized sports. That's one of the reasons why I went there. So I mean, I would get home very late at night until I was old enough to drive. But it was late at night. 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Was it ever scary?
It was a little bit scary. There were certain parts of the city that were kind of scary on the train.
As far as old friends go, have you kept connections with some old?
I still keep in touch. Yeah, I still keep in touch with.
That's good. Because you moving. I mean, it's one thing trying to keep connected after high school, and then people go to different colleges. But it's another thing to move away and keep connections. So. That's good that,
We pick up right where we left off. I went to a Patriots game when I was home for Thanksgiving, and it was with about 10 of my friends from college. And for better or for worse, really, they haven't changed.
I was thinking, you're talking about falling through the ice. Have you... injuries, I've broken my collarbone and I've gotten a couple stitches here and there. How have you had any major injuries?
Yes, I broke my humerus. It's right here.
That seems like a very important bone.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough to heal. That was because they could have put a cast on it. So
they couldn't, or they could.
Well, it would have taken like a body
brace,
cast.
Yeah.
So they just gave me a sling.
It's just a broken bone dangling.
And no one believed me. Like when I was around people and they were like bang, I would tell them like I have a broken arm, and no one believed me because I was in a sling. It was like he doesn't have a broken arm. So I'd have to explain to them, yes, and they said, well, why aren't you in a cast? So it was always this long explanation of why.
Man.
Yeah.
They
why
thought
I
you
wasn't in a cast, but no one believed me.
a liar,
gosh.
a liar, and an
Just to test me,
outsider.
they would give it a little
Sharp prod. Yeah.
give me a little poke to see if I reacted.
And how would
Jeez.
you react?
So I would
In pain?
scream. It took a long time
Laugh.
to heal. It took a long time.
How did it happen? How old were you?
I was probably around 7.
So you fell, or did you get pushed? What
I
happened?
was actually. It was just it was kind of like a weird fall.
I do apologize for all the cuts that you may hear in the audio, but hopefully you gain a semblance of it. We learned today that Mr. Curran broke his bones. People didn't believe him, so they used to touch his broken bones. We learned that as one of the kids skating, he wouldn't be one of the ones to go out and see if the ice was safe. Rather, he'd find someone's hat and throw it off. We learned also that at school he was out of the intercity, so he was in. He had to take a very rigorous communal transportation.
Transit.
Yeah, transit to and fro. We learned that he goes to Boston. No more winter vacation there, for me at least. Cape Cod is wonderful. Would you like anything else to add, Mr. Curran? That's it? All right, well, we'll see you guys next.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.